What is going on, my Guardian gamers? It is I, Birdman, back with another Titan build. Now, this one is a soft update, kind of just like, I don't know, more than anything, just proving that this build still has the juice to, do all the stuff and things in the game. It's using an awesome Titan chest piece that I really like, the Severance Enclosure, and using some fun well, I guess really introduced in Lightfall void fragments that I really enjoy. But before I get into the video, you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Make sure you're liking the video, commenting down below something you're interested in seeing. Any questions like that, become a member, subscribe, all that stuff. Did I mention subscribe to the channel? Well, let's jump right on into the build. Now, as always, we like to talk about the exotic that we're going to be using for this setup, and that is going to be, again, that Severance Enclosure. It reads powered melee final blows unleash a damaging explosion. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increases the radius and damage of the explosion. Now, this one's super fun, just especially like on Void Titan, because of the fact that one, you have your powered melee shield that you can throw that will, help you get those explosions at a distance, but also for the fact that it does account for finishers so that you're able to, kind of whittle targets down, especially in a crowd, run up, do a finisher, and then the rest will just absolutely get nuked. But because of some of the fragments we're using, they are going to not only just be nuked, they're going to be volatilely, but is that a word? Is volatilely a word? I think it might be. Now, I mentioned this is a Void setup, so let's go through everything that we're going to be needing in the Void Sentinel class. First and foremost, I like to use Ward of Dawn because it has a really short cooldown, and you're able to pop it a lot, able to get overshields, which is going to feed into one of our aspects, and also just a little bit more weapon damage for our main weapon that we're going to be using for this setup. For your abilities, obviously, like I mentioned before, I really recommend Shield Throw. One, because you're able to get that distance with throwing it, and also for the fact that it's going to give you an overshield so that you're able to have a little bit more juice and tankiness for this entire setup, especially for one where a lot of times you're going to be jumping into the thick of it to get those finishers off. Having that overshield is really nice to do. Also, a vortex grenade is going to be our best friend for this. It's able to pull targets into a singularity so that we're able to use that finisher on more targets at one singular time. For our aspects, we're obviously going to be using offensive bulwark. While you have your overshield or inside Ward Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster, and you have increased melee range and damage, and your melee final blows extend the duration of your overshield. So this is just really gonna, in general, help us out with a bunch of different stuff. Also, the fact that if you were to, not want to use your Ward of Dawn and want to use the Sentinel running around shield, it'll give you an extra shield to throw as well. And also, we want to use Bastion. Bastion I like a whole hell of a lot. Whenever we cast our super, we grant overshield to our nearby allies, and casting our barricade grants an overshield to myself and my nearby allies and empowers it, enabling to slowly regenerate the overshield, and allies bunkering behind it extend their overshield duration. So again, this just helps everybody out, but I really, again, like how this feeds into that offensive bulwark as well, and just again, constantly adding a tankiness to our class. Fragments, we are absolutely just diving into a lot of grenade and volatile stuff. First and foremost, Echo of Harvest, defeating weakened targets creates an orb of power and a void breach. We really like this just because, again, it gives us more orbs, which means we're going to get more armor charges that we're going to be using in our class, but also for the fact that we get those void breaches that'll give us some class ability energy, which will feed into Bastion a little bit more. Echo of Undermining, your void grenade weakens targets, so getting that weaken off, especially bigger, bosses and stuff like that, big yellow bar enemies. This is always really nice just because they will not be, hurting you as hard. Echo of Secession, this is going to be the one that really flows in with the Severance Enclosure. Finisher final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a void breach, which everyone's going to be constantly volatile with this setup, so you are able to constantly get those void breaches, constantly get your Bastion off, and always have an overshield keeping you safe. And then finally, Echo of Expulsion. This one's kind of more or less kind of like a luxury one I kind of just added for the setup because I enjoy it. Void ability final blows cause targets to explode. This is an explosion build. We like big booms. We cannot lie. I need all them big booms. Now, for the weapons for this setup, I always recommend one exotic, and I'm I'm gonna say the Wave Splitter is gonna be the one for this one. It is a exotic trace rifle that is also void. Its main perk is harmonic laser. Laser damage has 3 power levels and oscillate while the trigger is being held down, so it's able to, you know, get even more charged as we are shooting it. But I also just like the trace rifle because you're able to control like whittling enemies down to that finishable spot a whole lot easier, just because it's a little bit more predictable. But at the same time, its other perk, supercharged battery collecting orb power, grants a period of maximum power that starts with an automatic reload. Sustained fire with this mode suppresses targets, so we're getting some suppression in there. We're getting guaranteed high power, especially with all the orbs of power we're going to be creating from not only just some mods that we have on our armor, but also from our fragments, where, you know, defeating a weakened target creates that orb of power and a void breach. Everything flows together. We like how this flows. Now, when it comes to what, you know, armor and everything that we're going to be using mod wise for this setup, let's look at our helmet. First and foremost, I recommend going for Void Siphon. You're mainly going to be using the Wave Splitter, and I also have on my Scathe Lock Osmosis, so that whenever I throw a grenade, my Scathe Lock becomes void because it matches that, so we're able to take advantage of that. And then obviously always recommend an Ashes to Assets and a hands-on, just because you're going to be using both your powered melee and your grenade a whole lot, so that you're able to get that super, that warded on back so much faster. On our arms, I like a great flow of momentum transfer and impact induction, since one will feed into the other. Your melee will help your grenade and your grenade will help your melee. And then also grenade kickstart. I really want to use this just because, you know, we're going to be chucking a whole lot of grenades with the setup. I really enjoy that, so having that be able to, you know, feed into the build a little bit more, give us a little bit more grenade energy, even though we're constantly going to be having it with our overshield. It's just nice to have that guaranteed grenade to throw. Chest piece, recommend double concussive dampener. Honestly, if you can get 3, that's even better. But for this setup, I decided to do a little bit more recovery to get my stats up, so I just went with 2 of these. On our legs, I always go double absolution for those, you know, picking up orbs of power will give us our abilities a cooldown, and then also recuperation. Even though we will constantly have that, you know, high overshield on us, this is nice to have just for those moments in time where your health is getting low and you're just kind of being spammed by everybody and you get a little bit of health back. And finally, on our Titan Mark, I do double distribution, so when we're constantly using that bastion around people, we're getting our ability cooldown better, and then also obviously powerful attraction to pull all those orbs of power into us. As usual for this season, really nothing here that's going to help you out in the long run. It's all orb based. Now, if you really want to, you know, mess with these elemental orbs, go for it. But the only thing that I would really say is helpful is this monochromatic maestro. If you get to that, cool. If not, the build is not, you know, forced into this in any way, shape, or form. As always, I like to recommend other weapons that you could be using for this setup. If for some reason you don't have this, I think a Graviton Lance is a really solid choice for this. If you got that going on, the Black Hole second shot of a burst rips a hole through space and time, doing high damage and recoil with no fall off. And then the Cosmology trait, kills with this weapon cause enemy targets to detonate and spawn void projectiles that track targets. So this is really, really solid one for, you know, again, adding to the big boom build. Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Again, make sure commenting down below, let me know some other setups that you're interested in seeing, or, you know, even if it's just like kind of theory, or you just want questions on certain pieces of exotics, something like that, I can always work on something in regards to that. So make sure you let me know down below. And also make sure you follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. I'm definitely just really appreciative of all the love recently. Really trying to dig in and become a bigger, you know, person within the Destiny field. We had a lot of great stuff going on in the beginning of Lightfall, so I just want to continue that, especially going into the final shape. And also season 23, because I think there's going to be a lot of awesome changes to the game to prep it for the final shape, so it'll be really neat to see what they've got, they as in Bungie has up their sleeve. So till then, thanks so much. Hope you guys have a great night, day, whatever it may be.